Ow! Greetings, YouTube. This is DecKrash, better known as Brandon. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and give you another Defiance review. I know I had not been up there for the last few episodes. I'm so sorry, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and do a compact episode of the last three ones that have been the most recent, the ones that I missed out on doing a review for. Those are Episode 3, The Devil in the Dark, Episode 4, A Well-Respected Man, and the most recent one that aired today Episode 5, The Serpent's Egg. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead for episodes 3 and 4. I'm just going to read the rundown of each episode. You can find it on Wikipedia. The episode descriptions tend to be fairly accurate, and I'll just make a small commentary on each. So to kind of crunch it for time, I'm not going to make a habit of that. I like to say things in my own words, but my memory is not 100% clear on everything that happened. I try to make these reviews as soon as I can after each episode because I'm good at remembering things that I see on TV, but I'm not going to count my memory 100% on this. Okay, so, getting started. Episode 3, Devil in the Dark. As it reads, two humans are attacked and killed by hellbugs. Nolan, Irissa, and Yule, that's the indigene doctor, discovered that they were targeted using hellbug attack pheromones. Hellbugs attack the Tar residence, where Christy McCauley is having dinner with Alak and his parents. Alak Tar is the Casathan boy who Christy is in love with. Christy is the daughter of Mr. McCauley, the guy who owns the mines. I remember I was saying that their two families are kind of don't particularly like each other, so it's a little bit of a Romeo and Juliet thing. So. Nolan discovers that the two... Hold on. Okay, here we are. Alright, where Christy McCauley is having dinner with Alak and his parents... Alak, excuse me. Her clothes have been sprayed with the pheromones. The attack kills the attacking bugs. Nolan discovers that the two dead men had sold land to McCauley for his mines, and the attacks are therefore connected. Irissa begins to have visions of an Arathian family. Consulting with the Arathian spirit writer Sukar, she learns that she has the sight, a visionary ability to see the past, present, and future, without actually being present for the events seen. Irissa has a stronger vision and discovers that the two dead men did not own the land, but killed an Arathian family to obtain it. The daughter of the family, Rin, escaped and grew up to become a spirit writer. Her father was an entomologist, inheriting his talent. She discovered a nest of hellbugs. Inheriting his talent, she discovered a nest of hellbugs and began using them as a weapon. Nolan, Irissa, Deputy LaSalle. Deputy LaSalle is the other lawman in the town. I hadn't really talked about him much. He's a younger black guy. He's had a relatively minor part in the series, usually sort of on the side of just the rest of the lawmen in Defiance. So anyway, and Nolan's right hand man next to his daughter. So anyway, Nolan, Irissa, Deputy LaSalle, and Sukar follow her into the hellbug nest, capture her, and destroy the nest. Macaulay deeds the stolen land back to the Arathian spirit riders. Okay, so this episode was actually a pretty darn good episode, and it introduced a creature that, if you've played the video game, you see all over the place. They're called hellbugs. They're actually a mutation brought about by the Arcfall. They were a relatively harmless bug from the Votanus star system that was mutated after the Arcfall terraformed the Earth. So the episode really opens up on the Spirit Riders coming into Defiance because the mayor is kind of opening up Defiance to them. There was a point in time where the Arathians actually lived in Defiance, but there was some sort of a disease going around. The Arathians didn't want to be vaccinated for the disease, and the disease tore through their people. They tried to force them to get vaccinations, and things did not go well. The Arathians in protest all left. And so they have the Spirit Riders that live outside of Defiance, sort of like nomadic tribes. The Arathians are a race that are very, very close to nature, as I mentioned before. And so, as I said, they discover that Nolan discovers that one of the Erathians has been using pheromones because these hell bugs secrete a pheromone that tells them to attack. They're like a colony of ants. You have a queen, you have workers, and all that. And they found out that these hell bugs were deep down in the mines. They had a couple of murders in Defiance with people who were really close. Had that significance of being people who had attacked this Erathian girl's family, Rin. You discover that after Orissa is having these fever dreams of a family being attacked by an Erathian family being attacked by two human men. And so the leader of the spirit rider, Sukar, you actually meet him in the very first episode of Defiance. He's sort of the chief member of that group, and he wears this cool little top hat. So anyway, he encourages Orissa's visions, and they put all the pieces together, as I've read. And so they go into the Hellbug nest, and Rin is down there getting the attack pheromone. And so what they do is they manage to get the attack pheromone out of her hands and throw it on the Hellbug Queen, who is just massive, like about the size of a 3 or 4 story building. And hellbugs are not very pleasant creatures. They chew through just about anything. Although they did have one of the cooler parts of the series where when the Tar household was being attacked by hellbugs, and Daytak actually had to come to his son and, well, future daughter-in-law's rescue with that cool energy blade. And you see this energy blade, like, in the first episode. He likes to use it. You find, I guess, the Castathans find that elegant or something like that, but it's cool. It actually extends into like a sword length, and he went out after those hellbugs. But unfortunately, didn't see much of the fight that comes in. If memory serves, I think it came in covered in hellbug blood. Also, they really kind of focused on the hellbugs in this one, because they went down, when Nolan and his people went down into the mines, they covered themselves in this glop, this clear gelatinous glop. It was basically hellbug crap, but it helped them to smell like a hellbug so that the other hellbugs wouldn't immediately attack them. And so, this Erathian girl, Rin, actually makes an appearance in a later episode. So I thought this was a pretty interesting thing in growing Orissa as a character, because she discovers more about herself. Because Nolan had these fever dreams before, but Nolan didn't realize that she was, I guess, psychic. Maybe that's some sort of special ability that runs among Erathians. They hadn't really been completely clear about it. Well, they clarify it in the most recent episode, and I'll get to that soon enough. So, on the whole, this episode was a really good character building episode and had a lot of action. And this is the first time you get to see the inside of the Need Want, which is the local get-together bar / brothel house. And this TV series doesn't pull any punches. They kind of get into the lives of these girls that live in there. I think that's the episode where you learn that the head of the Need Want is actually the mayor's sister. Now, the episode after that actually focuses more on their relationship, and I'm going to go ahead and get into that. So, on the whole, this episode was a pretty solid 8. It left you feeling bittersweet because Orissa was pretty resentful of Nolan trying to discourage that ability that she had, but it left me kind of thinking, like, he didn't know, but Orissa is a bit of a hothead if you haven't been watching the episodes as of late. So, good character development and a great amount of action in it, and it at least focused on some of the unusual fauna that exists on the Earth. And I'm hoping they do other episodes with that kind of thing as well, because right now each episode is more about characters than it is even just about the world they live in, because this is Earth, but it's changed from the Earth that we know because of addition of alien flora and fauna, and it all being mutated because, please excuse me, I have a very dry throat. It's all been mutated because of the effects of the terraforming technology in the Arcfall. So, good solid 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Really like this one. Alright, next up, Episode 4, A Well-Respected Man. It reads as such. Nolan intercepts a shipment of weapons being transferred by 2 of Daytak Tar's men. Unknown to both Nolan and Amanda, the town council made a deal with DayTac to arrange for weapons to be delivered to the town after the loss of the shield generator. That was the fence that actually encompasses this mountain pass that leads into Defiance. So that you know, that was actually taken down by the Indigene who had betrayed everyone in Defiance in the first episode. So, Nolan's relationship with Amanda's sister, Kenya, that's her name, I was trying to remember her name right off the top of my head. And Amanda's the mayor, Kenya is her sister, she's the one who runs the Need Want, the local brothel house I was talking about. So, Nolan's relationship with Amanda's sister, Kenya, develops somewhat to Amanda's displeasure. Kenya is irritated by her sister's interference and accuses Amanda of trying to replace their mother. Later, Kenya and one of her girls are kidnapped by Ulysses, the bioman deployed by DayTac as a prize fighter. Oh, I don't think I touched on that one in the first episode. Biomen are actually genetically engineered soldiers. They're huge, hulking brutes, and I mean muscle on muscle. His skin is sort of bluish. Doesn't seem that he's very bright. Whatever process that turned him into this thing must have kind of decreased his brain capacity. But in the first episode, Nolan comes into Defiance trying to earn some really quick money, and so he fights up against that Bioman, and Bioman's basically wiping the floor with him until he gets him in a particular spot that actually shuts him off. So in these biomen, as if you read like some of the stories, the backstory of Defiance, these are genetically engineered soldiers that we used during the Pale Wars. Okay, so anyway, later Kenya and one of her girls are kidnapped by Ulysses, the bioman employed by DayTac as a prize fighter. He is kidnapping street people and taking them to a human lab technician, Miko, who is harvesting their adrenaline to use as an illegal drug. Nolan and Amanda clash with DayTac to get her back, but he refuses to help. Stamatar suggests to Amanda that she show respect to DayTac by making him a member of the town council. With grudging help from DayTac, Nolan locates the lab. Meanwhile, Kenya realizes that her wanderings in a maze pursued by a Vulge are a virtual reality. She escapes and kills Miko. Nolan, Irissa, and Amanda arrive in time to save Kenya from Ulysses. Rafe and Quentin descend into the sealed shaft where Luke had found the strange object. Rafe is the other Macaulay boy. He had the oldest one died in the first episode. That was the whole murder that they were trying to solve. Where was I? Okay, Rafe and Quentin descend into the sealed shaft where Luke had found the strange object. Excuse me, Luke is the son. I'm so sorry, guys. Rafe is the one that's still alive. Luke is the oldest one. So, where Luke had found the strange object and discover a set of disturbing cave paintings featuring the object. After her rescue, Kenya confronts Amanda and learns that their mother did not die during the Pale Wars, but instead abandoned Kenya. Amanda refused to leave her sister behind and their mother abandoned them both. Amanda chose to save her sister and told her their mother was dead to spare Kenya's feelings. DayTac takes his seat on the council and Nolan realizes that Shtama is the more dangerous of the two. Alright, this episode had a lot going on, okay? It opens up with Nolan and his deputy doing a sting operation of people of some Kazakhstan smuggling Votech weapons, and so he goes to the town council, and this is where Amanda learns the whole deal that the town was actually making deals with the Votanist Collective. I guess somewhere out there in that big world, there's actually some sort of centralized government composed of the Votans, and it doesn't seem like they're very nice guys, but you know, you need their help, you gotta fork over a lot of money. This episode develops, of course, more of Amanda's character because of linking her relationship with Kenya, the head of the Need Want, and finding out that the audience from that point finds out that the two are sisters. And though Amanda is the upstanding mayor of Defiance, Kenya, of course, is running the local whorehouse. To kind of put it bluntly. Also, it kind of shows that Kenya has a thing for Nolan, and she spends a little quality time with her, so to speak, and she actually doesn't ask for payment. So anyway, this is what happens is Kenya finds out that one of her girls is has been stealing money off the top from some of her customers, and she goes to confront her, and he finds out that she's got a drug problem. She's high on this drug based on adrenaline, which was originally given like to soldiers during the Pale Wars, and people like harvest adrenaline from other people by basically scaring them to death. And this guy who's been kidnapping people from Defiance, usually in the poorer parts of the town, where people are not likely to really be missed. They he's milking these people for their adrenaline by hooking them up to a VR system that scares the living daylights out of them because they're being chased down in a maze by a vulture. And that was a pretty interesting part of the show where the guy says, prep them for the maze, and then they change scenes and they show Kenya and the girl running through these ruins. I was like, where are they? And they're being pursued by this huge creature. I was like, oh my god, where do you get a Volge from? It kind of surprised me. So when she finally realizes, wait a minute, none of this is real, and she suddenly wakes up as if from a dream, and she's hooked up to all this machinery on her head, and she has to actually pull out this long needle in her neck. It's like that scene from the Matrix where Neo first wakes up and he has that whole thing connected to the back of his neck, and then the machines unplug him, and you see all the tubes and stuff pop out, and that big long needle thing coming up out of the back of his head. To some people that might be a little grody, but I like this series because it doesn't pull any punches. It's quite raw, and it's gritty. It's a post-apocalyptic thing. So I mean, it's the post-apocalyptic meets the old west meets Star Trek kind of. Yeah, it's Mad Max meets the good, the bad, and the ugly meets Star Trek. That's the best way I can describe it. Um, the cool thing is like when Nolan and Amanda are trying to figure out what happened to Kenya, and they go to Daytak because he would know because it happened. The whole deal happened with his Bioman, who was one of his prize fighters, and I think one of his bodyguards too. And Daytak unloads on Amanda, saying, you don't respect me, so no, I'm not going to help you. And then sweet talking Shtama comes up to her and starts telling her, how much how much Kenya absolutely adores her, and says like, look, I can get him to help you, but can you do something for us? Can you put him on the town council? And Amanda's realizing, okay, little Miss Snake, I'll play your game, but okay. And at the end of the episode, you see Daytak joining the town council, and everyone's just giving him the stink eye. Because, I mean, Daytak, as I was saying in an earlier review, Daytak is not very well liked. And yeah, because he's pretty much the godfather in this town. When Daytak is actually helping Nolan to find information, they bring him to another Castathan who, well, Nolan's no idiot. He actually is quite the detective, and he's like, well, the guy's like, don't hurt me, don't hurt me. But he's looking at Daytak, and the guy's like, well, he's looking at you, so most likely you came in before me, roughed him up a little, and told me to resist, told him to not tell me anything, and I was gonna rough him up, and then you come in and try to sweet talk it out of him. And it's just Daytak has this look like, oh. So yeah, Daytak is not as much of a he's not as powerful as a lot of people would like to think he is. In the end of the day, you realize that Shtama is the one who's really running things from the background. Behind the old saying, behind every great man is a great woman, and well, Shtama is really the one who's probably wearing the pants here. She's always got to sweet talk her husband. In every episode, well, not every episode, but in a lot of the episodes, we've been seeing times where Daytak comes home just fuming and fussing, and then Shtama's like, oh, calm down, honey. Look, I'll talk to him. And she starts saying all these sweet little nothings and stuff like that. And Daytak calms down, and she goes out and fixes things. And the same thing happens in this episode at the end when Nolan even realizes the whole deal. Because she's just sitting outside the town council chambers, dutifully, being the dutiful wife, doing some weird alien threading thing. And Nolan just says, I just realized I've been chasing the wrong snake. And looks directly at Shtama, and Shtama just looks up, smiles, and just says, "You're so sweet." So I have to admit, this was a pretty good episode, building up a lot of stuff about life in Defiance, and building up the character of Amanda and Kenya. Oh, and especially that whole story about them. I mean, what I've read off the Wikipedia entry is pretty much what it is. Kenya is always had almost sort of an antagonistic relationship with her sister, but then when in the end, when she learned something about this pendant about a saint that Amanda gave her when they were younger, and finds out it's not really the saint that Amanda had said, and asks her to come clean what really happened to mom, and she has to admit that her mom abandoned them, and she didn't want her to have any resentment issues against her own mom. Kenya realizes, just how crappy she's been to her sister, and their relationship grows and strengthens. And even all this time, regardless, Amanda has just been even if in secret, Kenya's guardian angel. Amanda gets confronted by this woman whose husband's been visiting the Need One, and who I guess Kenya must have been tending to. And the second she calls her a slut, she gets a hand across her face. I think she got two hands across her face. So, uh, another really good episode. I mean, I know I'm just sitting here, with such bias, and well, bias is not necessarily a bad thing, of course. Bias is going to be biased to what it likes, but if it's the truth, then I mean, I really am enjoying this series. And thus far, this episode has probably been one of the best, and I have to give that one a good solid 9. I really couldn't think of much that was really bad about it. Maybe I could have seen more of that Volge because we don't really know that much about them. And maybe I'm just, like I said, and one of the reasons why I like it so much is that it balances everything out. These episodes have some pretty good writers. Now, the next episode I'm going to talk about reveals some of the issues I have with the series, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But this one, good solid 9 out of 10. Great character building, and was able to juggle a lot of things all at once and still maintain a good, strong story. Really liked it. Finally, episode number 5, The Serpent's Egg. Okay, so this is the one that I was watching today. So we get back to Rin, who has been tried and convicted and is off to prison. It seems that in this post-apocalyptic world, what was once Las Vegas is now a prison. So getting on board it's like an armored bus that's built to go through the Badlands, and I guess it has to be armored. And it comes to town like once every 2 weeks. So you start off with Daytak's son, Alak, who actually runs a radio station up in the Arch, or at least what's left of the Arch in Defiance, and talking about the coach. It's called a something coach. Can't remember. The coach is coming in, and so what's going on is that Nolan and Amanda are off to deliver a payment to New York for the Earth Federation. I guess this is like where a lot of the humans now live. They really haven't talked that much about it, but with the information that I've seen from just the backstory and things like that I read about Defiance, Earth Federation consists most of the northeastern part of what was once the U.S. So anyway, they're bringing off some money to pay because they're trying to get like a maglev rail going through Defiance, and that will help to build the city's economy, because Defiance is kind of like a bastion of civilization in the middle of insanity. So they're going for two purposes, deliver this money, and also to deliver the prisoner to the prison colony. So, but of course they underestimate Rin's ingenuity. She manages to pry open her locks, her handcuffs, not once but twice. Once using a pen, and the other using a paper clip. Well, what's going on is that another representative of the the Earth Federation. I think it's Earth Federation, not Earth Alliance. Excuse me. Another representative of the Earth Federation comes along with her two husbands. Yeah, that's a thing in this world. I don't know. And was trying to get Amanda to join up with the Earth Federation, but it's just not happening. So during the trip, oh, they also are sharing the trip with supposedly a priest. We find out quickly he's not a priest. A bomb goes off like midway through the journey inside the coach, killing the driver. He's what do they call that race? He's a Liberata. They're the pig-like ones I was telling you all about. So yeah, kills the driver, and they find out that this whole deal was planned. Someone was going to jack the vehicle, and they were trying to get that money. And so the guy who holds the vehicle up, it's the priest, and these other two guys come in on rollers. That's what they call them, these doom buggy-like cars. And so they come out and meet them, demand the money. They end up killing one of the ambassador's husbands and injuring the other and dragging the ambassador off, trying to take the money, but all they got was like this cred chip that she had stuck under her husband's sleeve. Husband A, I guess I can call him. Neither one of them are very pleasant guys. They're not very bright. So at first they're at a standoff, but fortunately Nolan, of course, having lived in the wilderness for quite some time and being a survivor, is able to kind of outsmart and outgun them by finally looking like he's going to give the priest the money. The priest was the one who kind of turned on everyone. Giving the priest the money, he's gone hidden out in these hills that are nearby, and they're kind of out in the middle of the desert, so they've got only a certain window of time before people start dying of thirst. Because in the shootout, the water supply on the coach is destroyed. So, anyway, with Amanda's help, they managed to outsmart the priest and his cronies and rescue the ambassador. But that night, what happens? And also in the fray, of course, Rin manages to escape using the paper clip. She tries to escape earlier on using a handle part of a pin, but Nolan ends up getting the drop on her. So they're sitting on at a fire, just discussing what they're going to do next. And all of a sudden, the ambassador turns on them, saying, oh, you just screwed up the whole plan. She mentions the priest guy and saying that, we were planning to share the money, and we are just gonna, do this to make you default to the Earth Alliance so that you be forced to join them. But what ends up happening is the prisoner Rin comes back and ends up binding the ambassador, because she's bound by an Erathian code of honor saying, if a person saves your life, you don't leave them to die. So all she wants is a roller to escape. And husband B, who she allowed to get shot, especially who saw how she had betrayed her other husband, in disgust, leaves with Rin, at least just to get to the next town. So they return to Defiance. Now, this is a double scenario story. Meanwhile, in Defiance, everything's focused now on Irissa, who happens to notice one of the passengers who got off of the coach when it had arrived in Defiance is this Casathan guy who seems to be pretty innocuous and nervous and really kind of just a bit of a timid person. But she realizes him from some memories that she has about being tortured and tormented. Now, they hint at this in a previous episode where the deputy, and I'm trying to remember his name right off the top of my head, unfortunately. I just mentioned it just a moment ago. Okay, Tommy LaSalle, that's his name. That's the deputy, that's the younger black guy I was telling you all about. So, Tommy had noticed the burn marks on her wrists. Well, anyway, Irissa notices this Casathan guy and remembers him from some memories of her being tormented and tortured. Now, this is where the series actually gets a little deeper into her relationship with Nolan, who is her adoptive father. He is actually the guy who rescued her from this life. She her family was, I guess, part of some strange cult that worshipped death, as far as I can tell. She was supposed to be some sort of messiah. She was bitten by a snake and recovered. And she was to complete the ritual, she was going to have to kill this guy. Now, at first, Irissa, you think that Irissa's just completely lost it, because she grabs the guy, beats him down, and drags him into an abandoned shed that has like a basement level, and ties him up, and basically is trying to get him to confess. You're the one who did this to me. Why did you do it? Why did you torment me so many times when I was young? Why did you kill my family? And at first the guy's like, you're crazy. I don't know what you're doing. But then what happens is she gets a snake. But what happens, she finds, like, in his case, which is like jewelry, which is like he sells, a symbol, some skull with some snakes around it, that was an insignia of this cult that he was supposedly part of. But even he seems to not know what's going on. And when Tommy goes down into the basement and finds out what Irissa's doing, he's like, what are you doing? The guy's like, help me, please, she's crazy. But Irissa ends up handcuffing Tommy to a radiator. And basically saying, he's lying. I know this guy. And she ends up telling her life story. I was tormented by these people, and so she has, they're trying to get her to understand. No, this isn't the guy that you're looking for, and finally, Irissa's almost ready to believe it, because it has something to do, because the evidence for it is completely circumstantial. And especially what gives her cause to doubt her sincerity, she says, like, he smells the same, but even though his face was covered at the time. But anyway, she gets a snake, and even though, well, Hollywood uses like non-poisonous snakes, I always can tell constrictor snakes from like venomous snakes. But this snake bites him and put poison in his system, and we were thinking, oh my God, he's dead. You need to let Tommy go and get this guy to the doctor. But then all of a sudden the guy seems to wake up from a trance and says, like, the snake venom has cleared my vision, and you realize it is him. And he confesses to it, and Irissa's so angry. She's about to kill him. She has a knife right to his neck. But then you see more of the memories to complete this ritual they were doing with her. They gave him as a sacrifice. They wanted her to kill him when she was young. But that's when soldiers came in and rescued her, and that was Nolan when he first met her. So Irissa just, even though she wants so badly to kill him, she refrains from him, because she realizes letting you live is the better punishment. Giving you a normal life. And this is one part that just kind of came out of left field. When they go back to the sheriff's office, when Irissa and Tommy go back to the sheriff's office, Irissa, he asks Irissa, why, because the Tommy was actually going to kill him when he learned that he really was the guy, and that's where Tommy kind of comes clean and says, you're not the only one who was tormented. And this thing comes out of left field, and they just start exchanging tonsils like they have only that day left to live. Now, okay, I gotta step back, because throughout the series thus far, you do see a good amount of chemistry between the two. But from my point of view, I didn't see enough strong enough indications that they were kind of getting fond of each other, because that episode kind of ends with them on the floor doing the horizontal polka. And by the way, the creators of the series do say that these aliens, at least they seem to have hinted that these aliens can interbreed with humans, so that might come up to something at a later point, but that's just my conjecture. But that just kind of came out of left field, even though they did sort of kind of vaguely hint at that, but not strongly enough to have them all of a sudden just all over each other and in each other. But at least you do realize there was chemistry. And it's going to at least be interesting to see where it comes from. That I just didn't particularly like the progression. I think it didn't feel as natural. Now, last part is Nolan and Amanda getting back to Defiance with the ambassador, and they're sending her off to prison with this other guard who I guess is a representative of the Earth Federation. And then when they get on board the coach, the guard from the Earth Federation unshackles the ambassador, and she's like, sorry about the ruse. And the ambassador's like, I want to know everything about Amanda, everything, her home, her family, all her friends, who she slept with, and I want it at my desk when I get back to New York. I'm like, wow. I was like, there's just so much interesting plot developments just cropping up. Defiance is a hotbed of some serious political intrigue, and the story does not disappoint when it's giving you that, even in small ways, so it keeps you at least wondering what's going to happen next. As for the whole relationship thing between Irissa and Tommy, I'm eager to see what's going to happen, even though to me I didn't think it was delivered as genuinely as it could have. I mean, this was by far nowhere near levels of The Last Airbender, Sokka, and the princess from the M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movie that just had absolutely no chemistry whatsoever. There was at least chemistry between these two. Whether or not it was enough to lead up to what happened at the end, well, I don't think so. Some of you might disagree. Hey, leave your comments down in the comment section. I'm always open to discussion as long as you're civil. So, and as I was saying, this episode is just kind of revealed to me one of the issues, one of the tiny nitpicks I have with the series, and that is sometimes they don't develop things clearly enough. And I know it's a big universe, a big world, a lot has happened. World building, I love, and I think they've done a great job of world building, but sometimes I think they're not revealing enough. But I can at least understand why they're refraining from giving so much information, because it's a lot of stuff to take in. And then they're trying to build things up, build this world up so that the audience can learn and understand as they go. Just to me, sometimes it feels a little thin. This is one of those cases. So this episode, though it had a great little, one person's betraying you, then another person's betraying you, and then another person's betraying you. Had a great one of those just turnabout, who's the bad guy kind of plots. And it did do a great job of character building. Well, maybe not as good as other episodes, but it had good character building. I give this episode a good 7 out of 10. I think the character building was a little bit weaker this time. But it was by no stretch of the imagination a bad episode. The only thing is just that whole relationship, or just at least that one, I don't know if that's just going to be considered a one night or, day in this, as the case may be, stand between Irissa and Tommy. It's going to be interesting, like I said, to see how that goes. And I know I've said that about 3 times now, so I'm going to shut up about it. Okay, so everyone, I think that's all I got to say about these episodes. I promise you next time we have an episode, I will have an episode out sooner for those of you who are interested and who are watching. And I do appreciate all your viewership, and I do appreciate you hanging in there with me on this extra long one, because my lazy self had decided to wait until now to give a review. So I stuck it all in there. And so, questions or comments down below, hey, leave a response. As always, keep it civil, as I said before. And so, until next time, everyone, this is DecKrash, better known as Brandon. And as always, stay lucky and stay blessed. Take care.